Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahushai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And there's no God beside them. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone, and shalom to the elect, whom the Lord have given ears to hear. Fair use, fair use. I want to play this video going into USAID, which up until now I thought it stood for USAID, but as you see on the screen, it actually stands for United States Agency for International Development. So let's get into it.
International development is simply capacity building. It is local and regional capacity building done across the whole world, i.e. internationally. The primal id in USAID, international development, is about capacity building of assets that can be used by either the Pentagon, the State Department, or the CIA for their own activities. So if you're the Secretary of State and you were asked by the National Security Council or the President to do something in a different country, overthrow their government, how would you do that? And the first thing that I said is you would look at the assets that already exist in the country. Do we need new assets in addition to the ones that we currently have, or are the existing assets, can they achieve this simply by giving them enough money, giving them enough resources, giving them enough training, giving them enough support? One of the main ways that capacity building would be financed would be through USAID. USAID would say that it's doing something, funding a hospital system, funding universities, funding civil society organizations, funding media institutions, funding independent media in the region. Sorry, there's something in my eye. Independent media in the region on USAID payroll. And those institutions, those assets, would then be bigger and more powerful and more capable capacity, more capable of serving the State Department's goal, aka advancing U.S. national interests.
There are riots it's called the Madon Rebellion in Ukraine, which we're not told that we are financing those riots. The newspapers never told us, our government never told us. USAID, which is a CIA front, put $5 billion into funding those riots. Those riots lead to a coup d'etat against the first democratically elected government of the Ukraine. It was a government that refused to choose sides and to say, we're going to be on the side of the West. So we wanted them out. A month before that government is overthrown, Victoria Nuland, who's the part of the centerpiece of the neocon ideology and who is now a high-level official in the State Department, has a secret call with the U.S. ambassador, which is tape recorded and is now public, which anybody can go and look up, where she is picking the new cabinet for the Ukraine, which is which is a U.S. Western cabinet. So they're picking the new government a month before the old government is overthrown.
Is that democracy when Victoria Nuland picks her government?
In terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tony Book and his guys. And, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Klitsch and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week. I just think Klitsch going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Trump didn't just freeze the $3 trillion in the NGO slush funds last week, and then some low-level federal judge blocked it for now. And Musk and Trump said, that's fine. We're already in control of the payment systems, and almost all this is totally illegal. And so we're just blocking all these payments ourselves at the executive level. And we're just going to expose it all to the light of day.
Mark Moyer is a USAID whistleblower, and he joins me now. So, Mark, you started at USAID, and what they do the first...
And pretty much what you see now also is that we're in a time of exposure. This devil is being exposed for all the wickedness that has done and will continue to do as we get closer and closer. Well, yeah, will continue to do as we get closer to his downfall. Remember, it is written, search thou out his wickedness And this is something we already knew. However, it's always good to go into alternative news media sites, alternative news media channels such as this, to back the scriptures. I know it's in Psalms, I just can't remember where. But the scriptures say, look it up. Till thou find none. Right, Psalms 10 and 15. Break the arm of the wicked man, call the evildoer to account for his wickedness that would not otherwise be found out. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, that's why Trump is in office. Now Trump is not the good guy. Nevertheless, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai has him in office at the same time that he decide that he wants to reveal this man. All right. And the thing is, it's truly about faith in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai at the end of the day. Because no matter how much revelation comes out on this man, these people will still choose him over us. You know? Meanwhile, on a surface level, he's supposed to be about truth, exposing all lies. But then when we expose him, right, because best believe Trump and Musk, some way, shape, or form, they involved in the bullshit. The Epstein, the Epstein situation, the Diddy situation, all that shit, they involved in some way, shape, or form. Right? And eventually that's going to be found out as well. And the prophets, they don't hold back the sword from blood. Meaning, we give you this word as the Lord gives to us. And as it is written, the righteous will hate the wicked. Let me grab that. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 verse 10. It says, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Alright? And their strength is thievery, to live by the sword. So no matter how much corruption is exposed, it will never completely go away because they are in rulership. Genesis 27 and 40 tells us how they will run shit. Right? Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our return. We can't be for this shit. As it is written, it will destroy you even with the sword destruction. This is not our rest. Right? We're not satisfied with the little crumbs that this devil puts out there of truth. Because essentially, we know there's a lot more that is not being told. We know that we'll get persecuted for saying what needs to be said. That's why it says, let our strength, that's the mindset of these devils, let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objective to our infamy the transgressions of our education. Alright? And we going toe to toe and literally surpassing him in the spirit, as far as the transgressions are concerned. But Let me get this one. This is Psalms 36:1. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, the servant of Yahweh. The transgression of the wicked saith within my heart, that there is no fear of God before his eyes. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes, until his iniquity be found to be hateful. Right? And his iniquities is being found to be hateful. Like I said, all this shit is coming out. Here it is. You know, I'm on my way to the plantation now. Well, I'm waiting for it to start, rather. And, you know, I'm just meditating on, you know, you taking my money for this, for that, for this. And I'm the one that's doing all the hard work. We are fucking slaves. You know, and I'm not sure if it was this video or the previous video I saw, where pretty much the interviewer was going into if the American people really knew. No, it might have been this video, the beginning portion of it. If the American people really knew what was done with their money, they would fucking flip out. You know? But, you know, enough entertainment to keep them stupefied. Well, let's keep going in the video now.
First thing, did they send you to DEI camp?
Yes, and great to be with you, Jesse. So I didn't get into the agency till February 2018, and this is one of the big differences that we're already seeing that in 2017. Trump administration was very slow to get into the agency. So I get there in February, and we have what's called a privilege walk as part of the orientation, where you are given an identity. Now, I was a Scandinavian woman, and so when they read lines like, you know, I get discriminated against because of government services, or people don't look how I look. So you took a step forward if it applied, and if it didn't. And so I ended up near the front, and the indigenous woman with, you know, unwanted pregnancy and the male prostitute were at the other end, and then we talked about our privileges.
All right, so you were trained to be a Scandinavian woman in a privilege walk, not root out corruption. What kind of disguises do they use to fund these projects? I mean, do they just change the names of these things? Is there really some other reason we're doing this?
Yeah, they're very effective at
Let me look at this. You know what? Let me let it play. Salaki. I'm gonna let it play a little bit more.
branding thing. So in the first Trump administration, the priorities were support national interests as they are now. Another thing was
Well, gotta stop it. Remember, the scriptures say he speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to overthrow thee. This is literally what we're going into. How on the surface level, you know, we got to go in because, you know, that's what they'll tell you. We got to go into this country because of the instability, you know, what the president's doing to the people, right? So you put a puppet president in there because you want their resources, you know, and I'll give you a few crumbs for the time being, but I'm really doing you more harm than good, doing your people more harm than good.
During terrorism and promoting self-reliance. So I went to a country, just to give one example, they had a feminist women's book club that had been started under the Obama administration, and then they now said this is a counter-terror program because women, feminist women are key fighters in the battle against terrorism.
Oh, yes, yes. What happened when you raised concerns that this thing was just a big corrupt money pit?
Yeah, so I reported one of my subordinates for criminal conflict of interest, and then the first discouraging sign was I was told, well, you know, that's nice you want to do that. Most people here don't want to report corruption. Now, they didn't tell me why. I later figured out it's because you get in a lot of trouble. So I was accused of publishing classified information in something I'd written 2 years earlier, which had never been subjected to any prior question. And so they ultimately used that to fire me. Now, the people who were engaged in the corruption managed to hold on to their jobs. And so there's a culture of corruption that says, if you are going to criticize anything corrupt, we're going to come after you. And we're going to use
the tools that are supposed to be used to go after criminals to come after you. So they ended up.
We literally just went into that. Can't make this up. Again, Wisdom of Solomon 2. Verse 11, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Alright? This is how these devils think. If it exposes us, if it goes against our ego, then we gotta stomp it out. Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. And what we're reading here, if I haven't mentioned it before, is what's going to come to pass in the end when this devil comes down upon the righteous. So again, on the surface level, it's looking like truth is being exposed, as Trump is, you know, hating all wickedness. However, at the end of the day, this is not the case. Corruption will ensue as long as this man is in rulership. He professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us even to behold, for his life is not like other men's. His ways are of another fashion. Right? You can't bribe us. You can't pay us off. You know, you can't scare us away from the truth. Right? And he hates that. And another point I was thinking of as this guy was breaking down, you know, him being accused of pretty much calling a spade a spade. These devils don't like that. But this is Psalms 12 and 8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted.
Criticize anything corrupt. We're going to come after you, and we're going to use the tools that are supposed to be used to go after criminals to come after you. So they ended up firing me based on this bogus accusation, and I've been in court for the last 3 years trying to get them to turn over the facts. And this is, of course, what we've seen with a lot of cases with Senator Ernst, for example. They refuse to turn over information to the courts or to members of Congress. And so this is why people are fed up.
So they stonewall and then they weaponize classified information to take you down. That sounds quite familiar. How do you think Doge is doing so far uncovering this fraud inside USAID?
Well, from what I've seen so far, they seem to be doing a good job. You know, I do think you're going to need forensic accountants to go in there. It's probably going to take a long time because these bureaucrats have devised very crafty ways to hide money. So I was there in 2019, more than 2 years after the Trump administration came in the first time. We were still finding programs that the political appointees didn't know about. Now, you'd think you'd go in and say, okay, guys, tell us where the money is. But somehow, you know, that they will come up with some way excuse why they didn't give it to you. And that's partly why I think you're seeing this more heavy-handed approach, because the people there were so good the first Trump term at hiding things from us and mislabeling them and slow rolling them. And, you know, you also, I think the first term, some of the Trump appointees were frankly not as vigilant as they should have been. It seems like now there's a much stronger effort and a more concerted effort to go in and get all of the information.
And you know what I'm also noticing is that, you know, truth is out there. People are seeing, you know, the elephant in the room more so now than 8 years ago. So now Trump has to play the good guy in the fact that, you know, he's cleaning up wickedness so that you can continue to believe in him. Right? Which makes perfect sense why he will push the MOTB, which is prophecy, which will happen. You know? Because a lot of these people are slated to be destroyed. But we can never forget, this place is not our rest. The scriptures say to never, ever, ever trust your enemy. Right? Though he humble himself, take good heed. Trump is being used for nefarious reasons. Let me go back to Psalms 36. For he flattereth himself in his own eyes. USAID is literally the epitome of the scripture. Let me do something. So that word flattereth in Psalms 36 and 2. Well, we read it in the NLT, and then I want to check out that word flattereth. In their blind conceit, they cannot see how wicked they really are. Everything they say is crooked and deceitful. They refuse to act wisely or do good. So that word flattereth is Salakia. It says to plunder, apportion, assign, distribute. Look at that. So it says, for he flattereth himself in his own eyes. Pretty much he distributeth, blame to whom he chooses, and righteousness to whom he chooses. And as we read in Psalms 12 and 8, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. So essentially, and the very which we all should know, in a very inward part of him, in a very inward part of this government, it's corrupt, it's corruption, it's wicked, it's evil, it's sinister. The words of his mouth are iniquity and deceit. He hath left off to be wise and to do good. He deviseth mischief upon his bed. He setteth himself in a way that is not good. He abhorreth not evil. Right? And eventually, the Lord is going to take him out, man. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 1. Hear ye therefore, O kings, and understand, learn, ye that be judges of the ends of the earth. Is not this devil the judge right now of the ends of the earth? Job 9 and 24. Give ear, ye that rule the people, and glory in the multitude of nations. For power is given you of the Lord, and sovereignty from the highest. Alright? The Lord gave you. Again, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked right now. And as it stands in the book of Isaiah 26, let righteousness be shown to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. Who shall try your works and search out your counsels? How's he searching out your counsels? Through the men of the Lord. Through your own whistleblowers. Obadiah verse 6. Is it verse 6 or 7? How the things of Esau searched out. Because being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. For mercy will soon pardon the meanness, but mighty men shall be mightily tormented. Right? So Esau's about to be pulled out of that power seat for all the wickedness he's doing and will do. For all the wickedness he has done, is doing, and will do. Proverbs 28 verse 2. When there is moral rot within a nation, its government topples easily, but wise and knowledgeable leaders bring stability. So with that, shalom to the elect.